What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. Now this device was recently launched in March of 2024, and hence the name of this phone. It is the successor to last year's Galaxy A54 5G. Now, if you are curious about the differences going from one generation to this generation, I have actually created a dedicated comparison video between this phone and the A54, and it is already up here on the channel. So definitely make sure to check out that video after you're finished watching this one. But in general, we're getting quite a few new things this time around with the A55 5G, and I'm looking forward to going over all of that here in this video. But first though, let's see what all comes included in the box. So here's the box. You can see there's the name of the phone, also a photo of the phone, and you probably noticed that this is a very thin box. And the reason for that is because there is no USB wall adapter included. So that is a bit unfortunate, but let's see what we're actually getting here. So we have this packet inside, and then in the packet we have a SIM card removal tool, and then opening this up, we have some literature here for the device. And then we're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now with the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G, we're getting a very large 6.6-inch display. Now that's a really good thing, especially for the way that people use their smartphones nowadays. So people use their phones mostly for content consumption at this point. Whether it's watching video content, going on social media, checking emails, or even just browsing the web, having that very large display definitely makes all of that really great. Now to make things even better is the actual display technology that we're getting here. So this device does feature a Super AMOLED display. So along with that, we're getting excellent brightness. We're also getting really good viewing angles as well. And in general, this phone's display makes it look a lot more premium and expensive than it even is. Now to make things even better on top of that, the display features a 120Hz refresh rate. So a super smooth refresh rate here. And seriously, it's really hard to even know that this phone is a mid-range device just by looking at it and holding it. In addition to that, the display is 1080p, so very crisp and clear. We're getting a PPI of 390. We're getting a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, so a pretty narrow but tall form factor. And we're getting an 85.8% screen to body ratio. So we have very small bezels all throughout here with the phone. And I also appreciate that the bezels that we are getting here are pretty much all symmetrical. It's not like the bottom bezel is slightly bigger than the other ones, which can sometimes be a little bit annoying. Now up top here on the Galaxy A55 5G, we do have a 32 megapixel front-facing camera located in this hole punch. Now stay tuned for a little bit later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the device. But just to let you know, I'm actually very impressed with the cameras that we're getting here. Now internally here with the Galaxy A55 5G, we're getting 128 gigabytes of storage along with microSD card expansion. So 128 gigs I feel like is a pretty decent amount. I will say though, in 2024, that's kind of the bare minimum for me. I do feel like anything less than that, you might run into some issues down the road with the phone filling up. And especially a phone that's 64 gigabytes, I just feel like that's really not enough. So there really aren't any storage configurations that I've seen with any smartphone that's in between 64 and 128. So yeah, 128 is definitely the bare minimum that I'd go for, which is what this phone happens to have. Now having microSD card expansion is a really nice bonus, just because if you do happen to fill up that internal space, or if you want to offload photos and videos, for example, so you can free up some room, then you do have the ability then to put that content on the SD card. So having that option to add in a microSD card is certainly a lot better than not having the option at all. And that's actually a trend that I've been noticing with a lot of mid-range smartphones, is that they are getting rid of the SD card slot. And even the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE, which is kind of a competitor to this phone, even though it's also from Samsung, does not have an SD card slot. So I'm really glad that we're getting that feature here. Now one feature though that is missing with this phone is wireless charging, and it simply does not exist. So if you do like to use wireless charging, just know that you're not getting that here with the Galaxy A55 5G. So that is a bit disappointing. Now with this phone, we are getting Face Unlock, and then also in addition to that, there is an in-display fingerprint sensor, and it is very fast and accurate. Let's try that one more time. So that works really well. And then keep in mind too that the placement of the fingerprint sensor is pretty low here compared to the overall form factor of the phone. That's not necessarily a problem, but I have noticed with phones that compete against this one, sometimes you'll see the fingerprint sensor a little bit higher up or kind of in the middle, so it is different from phone to phone. Now, I don't think that the placement makes that much of a difference overall with whatever phone I'm using, but that might be something that you might want to consider here. And then taking a look at the triple camera setup on the back of the phone, we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 123 degrees, and we're getting a 5 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now, if you are looking for a quick and easy way to get to the camera app here on the device, simply double press on the power button, and then from there, it'll immediately pull up the camera. Now, this is how things look with the main rear camera. And while the main camera is 50 megapixels, by default, it actually captures images at 12 megapixels. So you will have to tap up here and select 50 to actually capture images in that full resolution. Now, the reason why that's not the default option here is because 50 megapixel images take up quite a bit more space compared to 12, and Samsung figures that most people will not want it at all times. But it is there if you do want to use it, and the good news is that you can get a lot of detail here by zooming in when you do capture photos in 50 megapixels. Then from there, we can go to 0.5 to access the ultra wide angle camera. So that's really nice. We can also go over to the more tab here to get to the macro camera. And then with that, we can get very close up and have objects be in really good detail. So you can see for this Lego, for example, that's really where the macro camera shines because I was really able to get close up here. We can also do portrait selfies. So there's me right there. There's even an option for a group selfie, so it crops out slightly. And then we do have the option for regular selfies as well. And then heading over to video mode, you can capture 4K video with both the front and rear cameras, but it is limited at 30 FPS. Now let's take a look at some camera samples from the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. Now in general, I'll let the results speak for themselves, but I've been very impressed with the cameras here on the device. One of my favorite things with this phone, of course, is that we are actually getting so many different cameras, giving us so many different options. But thankfully, the actual quality does still measure up to the actual number of features that we're getting here. It's not like really any of these extra bonus camera features are even gimmicky. If anything, it's more of a preview to what you'd be getting with a much more expensive Android smartphone. So if you do actually find yourself using a lot of these different camera features, then I think that might be further justification to spend a bit more money on a more premium device next time you need a new smartphone. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a 4K test video using the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. Of course, we are recording here with the front-facing camera. Now, I am very curious to know what you think about the video and audio quality, so certainly tell me what you think. And here is a 4K test video using the main rear camera on the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. Now, in this situation, we are pretty much in the middle of the day, and I think this is a really good opportunity to show you how the device handles the differences between areas that are well lit and then areas that are more in the shade. So you can see the transition right now, which really is very smooth, which for some devices can actually be pretty difficult. So that's impressive. And we do have very fast autofocus here in video mode, which is excellent. Let's now switch over to the ultra-wide camera. So you can do this in one single frame, so I did not have to stop the video and then restart the video in ultra-wide. I can easily switch between the two cameras, which is really nice to see here. So overall, we're just getting a lot of great camera options with the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G. Now the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G features 8GB of RAM paired up with the Samsung Exynos 1480 processor. Now overall, from my experience with this device, it actually runs decently fast and smooth. Now in no way does this phone put up much of a competition against the S24 Ultra, for example, but for what it is, I do feel like it does perform very well, and especially for a mid-range phone, I can definitely see this phone taking care of the needs of the majority of people out there, just because not everyone needs a $1,000 phone or a $1,300 phone, and they really just want a phone for the main essentials that you'd be using a smartphone for in 2024. So if you want to use this phone for watching video content, going on social media, all that stuff, it'll be great for that, that's for sure. And then as I mentioned earlier on in the video, we're getting this really excellent looking 6.6-inch canvas here on the device to watch all that content. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 1160 and a multi-core score of 3453. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Galaxy A55 5G compares, because you certainly would not want to upgrade to this device if it happens to actually be a downgrade. And then with the A55 5G, we're getting a very large 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery, along with up to 25 watt fast charging. So 25 watt fast charging is really helpful. Being able to recharge the phone that fast will save you a lot of time. And then also, since the battery itself is so large, being able to recharge at that wattage will definitely make things a lot smoother, because you don't want to be waiting all day for the battery on your phone to recharge, that's for sure. Keep in mind though that if you actually want to recharge at 25 watts, you are going to have to use a wall adapter that does support that. So the old school traditional chargers are typically 5 to 10 watts, so it's unlikely that you'll probably have a 25 watt fast charger unless you actually know that you have one. So if you don't own one, then I definitely recommend getting one to use with this device, because it really will make a big difference. And then the software with this device is Android 14 running Samsung's One UI 6.1. Now, if you've used a Samsung smartphone anytime in the last half decade or so, I feel like the experience here should be pretty familiar to you. I actually like Samsung's approach with Android because I feel like they do actually add a lot of genuinely useful features, and in general, their software is very well optimized, so that is all very appreciated. Now, this device does have NFC, so you can use it for tap and pay. I also appreciate too that we are getting stereo speakers, so we're getting audio out of both the main speaker on the phone and the earpiece when watching video content, or when you're listening to music. Basically just makes things a lot more immersive, and you don't always find that with mid-range devices. And then this phone is IP67 dust and water resistant. So what that means is that you can actually go underwater for up to 1 meter for up to 30 minutes. Now, one of the biggest changes with the Galaxy A55 5G has to be the overall appearance of the device, because the predecessor to this phone doesn't have this really nice brushed finish along the sides. So I think this looks really cool. It makes the phone feel really premium and definitely makes this phone stand out amongst all the various other A-series phones, because many of them do pretty much look the same. So we have metal on the sides, we also have glass on the back, so this is a very premium looking phone. Now on the left side of the device we have nothing. On the right side we have volume up, volume down, and the power button. Then up top here we have the slot for the SIM card and micro SD card, and also the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. And then on the back of the device, we have the triple camera setup, flash, Samsung logo, and that's pretty much it. But in conclusion, I think the Samsung Galaxy A55 5G is a very impressive smartphone from the brand. I think this time around, they really wanted to make it extra special, and I really love how this series really keeps getting better and better. So if you are considering going for this device, I definitely do recommend it. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what you think of the A55. Do you feel like Samsung should have done a bit more? Or do you feel like they just did an excellent job and nothing should be different? Definitely let me know. But thanks again for watching. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.